Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? I think I'm a couple minutes late. Let me look at I'm 3 minutes late. Whoops. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you all. I was in the other room watching stupid videos. I was on the couch watching stupid YouTube videos of machine guns. Somehow they had a minigun. I don't even know what caliber. Does anybody know? Are those things like 20 millimeter? Um, it's unbelievable the amount of rounds that those things can shoot. And I was just trying to imagine how much that costs in ammunition. Those might be 30 caliber. I'm looking at the rounds right now. Like you can sort of see all the rounds dumping out. Are those 30 cal or are they something bigger? Anybody know those belts? Look at that dude. He's got incendiary. I mean, my God, dude. Just I'm wondering, like, how much money do you burn, with that? Like, how much money gets burnt in a minute with that thing? It's got to be a lot. It's got to be a lot. Unbelievable. Um, yeah. So, hey man, how about that gold and silver, dude? Is anybody else a stacker like I am? Oh my God, bro. It's unbelievable. I'm so happy I stacked back when it was 20 bucks. Um, um, because, woohoo, dude, doggy. Anybody that stacked, you guys ought to cash in and freaking buy an audio system from me because that shit has rocketed, man. Rocket Tad. Looks like Maurice was first again. Mark and Myrtle, good evening, Mikey and Tribe. Good evening, man. Good evening, Tribe. Dan Drago checking in from Evanston. Mr. Walker, what's going on? Hit that like button and subscribe. Yes, do that, please. Happy Hump Day, Tribe. It is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Hey, Mikey, what's up, Sven? How are you, man? Yeah. So, man, it's been crazy what the silver market's doing. It's and gold too. Gold's at like 5,300, man. Wow. Such a cool thing. So there's going to be a lot of people buying hi-fi. Any stackers that are selling are going to be buying hi-fi or whatever the hell else they want. I don't know what I'll do. You know, buy a Ferrari. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I can, but shouldn't just do it just because you can. What's up, Charles? Good to see you, man. Whoops. Uh, Same with fireworks shows. $100,000 in minutes. Oh yeah, for sure. HRLs. Yo, yo, what's up, Tommy? How are you, man? Long time no talk to. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, no, any hi-fi news. I'm trying to think if I even have any hi-fi news. If I do, I'm basically making it up. But you know what? Speaking of silver, if you guys remember, do you remember do you remember when people were telling you to buy silver? Do you remember seeing all the videos and all the things and people telling you buy silver, and you just may not have done it, and now silver is like $100? I won't buy it now. I mean, I got enough that I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy gold at 5,300 either. Even though some people say, yeah, it's still got more to go. I'm just that ship has that rocket has been lit, man, and it's going. That's typically not when I buy. I buy stuff when it crashes. Um, but so it's the same thing with these Fisher and Fishers, man. I talked about it last video, and I'm going to keep talking about it throughout February. Again, the Fisher and Fishers are going up in price. I'm warning you guys. I'm giving you guys clear warning beforehand. And as a matter of fact, to even be cooler, not only am I warning you 30 days in advance, for the next 30 days, I'm giving 10% discount off any Fishers. And these are all, I'm sold out of fish. Wait, I have a pair of 170s. I found a pair of 170s today that I didn't know that I had. And I've got 270 AMT. Those are the only two pairs that I have. Oh, and I've got some 70s. Everything else is going to be coming from, so I mean, you can still order it. It'll come from Germany with the tariffs and everything. and I'm still giving 10% off this whole month off whatever's there. So if you are thinking of new speakers and you want the last pair of speakers that you will ever need to buy, and you want my pick for the best speaker I could find out there, then Fisher and Fisher is the clear choice. And not only am I warning you 30 days in advance that there's going to be that my prices are going up because I'm getting a price hike on my end. I'm going to give 10% off what they're at right now. So it's actually going to be like it's 20% off what they will be in 30 days. So for the next, I'm going to keep repeating it and hammering it in my head. So for the next 30 days, they'll be 20% below what they will starting in March. They'll be 20% higher than what I'll be selling for, right? They'll be 10% higher. So grab them while you can because they're just going to keep going up. You know, this is something, again, I pride myself at finding things in the market before they have their prime time. And Fisher & Fisher is little by little being slated up to have its prime time where everybody's going to know about it. People are going to want them up and down. And that's when the price just starts to become the same price as everything else. Unfortunately, that's just like what happens. But now you can still buy completely under the market. Anything at Fisher. You know what? I think I'm going to do something. I think I'll throw out $1,000 bet. $1,000 to anybody that can beat Fisher & Fisher at the same price point with their damn speakers. And I'm not talking about some, you know, DIY bullshit speakers, you know, because then you can't and the reason for that is because you can't there is no market value for a DIY speaker. So, and you can't use what you paid for it to compete. It has to be something that's in production, that's in the market, that has a retail price, that has a dealer network. Take that and compare it to the same price Fisher & Fisher. I will give somebody $1,000, and you're hearing it right now. I'll give them $1,000 if they can beat it at the same price. It's I don't think it can be done. So there's $1,000 beat Fisher & Fisher bounty for anybody that thinks that they can. That's just to, more than anything, that is to show you how confident I am and how much I believe in these speakers being built and sounding more natural and organic and natural than any other speaker out there. And I've heard them all. It's been 25 years as my career. I go to the shows, I listen to all the speakers, and I compare. Fisher & Fisher has been winning speaker or sound, best sound in show across the globe. I think it happened in I can't remember exactly if it was Australia where they won at the recent show, but they've been winning. They've just been winning awards and accolades. So a great speaker starting from 5,500, the small monitors, and which would be what, $5,000 now if you take off the 10%. Yeah, so I'm just I'll keep telling you about it. And I was just in my warehouse today. I've got 2 Roland 555s that are my ones that are open box that I can sell with a full warranty as new. I've got, what else did I have in there? I've got a Meitner MA3i that is pre-tariff. And if this thing happens with Canada, Canada might really get smacked with the tariff coming up. He's threatened 100% tariff on Canada because of their quote unquote, you know, their alliance or agreements with China. And one day, man, you know, you guys know how I've been talking about China and why I don't like China. One day it'll all come forth and people will understand, wow, Mikey really had Mikey was talking about this before any of this shit happened. And then you'll see why I said what I said. And they're not cool players. That's that. And then what they do is the government sanctions shit so they can underbid the market across the nation. And they don't just do it with hi-fi, they do it with everything. And then the U.S. buyers and wholesalers and whatever, as greedy as they are, They become dependent on the low Chinese prices because they're able to sell low price stuff. Once China understands that you are dependent on them, that is when they flip you the bird and triple the price. That's how they work, okay? And they're going to call it free enterprise. So everybody thinks they're real good people because they're doing everything for so cheap. They're doing it for so cheap because they're trying to alleviate, to infiltrate the market and undercut it so that they get a dominant grip on the market. And then when you're dependent on them, that's when they stab you in the back. It's the way it works, man. And I know this because I've done business direct with China. Anybody that has done business with China can tell horror stories about it. So, anyways, do I think the Iran war is going to pop off? I have no idea, man. I really don't know what. I haven't been following that too well, so I don't know what's happening. I hope not. Um, a shirt maker dropped its silver infused items due to costs. A shirt maker. Oh, you're talking about like the t-shirts that have silver threads inside so that it doesn't non-bacterial, antibacterial t-shirts. Is that what you're talking about? Those are pretty cool. I had some socks that were I don't know where they are because I can't tell anymore because they weren't silver. They were black like all the other ones, but they have silver thread in them and you could wear them and they don't get stinky because they have silver in them. So they're like antimicrobial, antibacterial when they use silver inside. Yeah, I mean, oh, I wish I had a piece. I'll bring it next time. But you know, back in the day, dude, when I was making silver, so I've got silver foil that I use to make my power cords. Right now, my power cords would be 20 grand based on how silver is. I've got 3-inch wide foils that are pure solid silver with 1% pure gold. So they're 99% silver, 1% gold. Think of the value of those. And I've got spools. I've got 20 pounds of that shit, in somewhere. um, and no one's, like you said, and I've got bus bar. I've got pure solid silver bus bar that I use to make my power strips because God, my power strips are so badass. I should take one apart sometime to show you guys the inside of the power strip. It is so kick-ass badass. Anyways, I overbuild shit. If you put Mikey in control of building something audio, it's going to be anything really. It's going to be completely overkill, overbuilt, high performance level, race tech, whatever. So I've got a lot of silver. I forgot about all that. I've got, all that stuff that I use for the materials, which damn, at its melt value would be retarded. Anyways, just thinking ahead, yeah. So it anything you've got, like my Magnapan kits that I had, those were pure solid silver, or pure silver little tubes. Those things, I don't even know if you can still get them anymore. I mean, that's the thing too. Can you even get silver? I heard speaker cable manufacturers and cable manufacturers are going to stop using pure silver and they're going to use silver plated copper, like what I've used in my entry level. Mikey, with multi-driver speakers, is there a point where sitting too close doesn't allow the sound to blend? Abso-freaking-lutely, bro. If too close, do you just hear individual drivers? Yes. Yeah, totally. I mean, think about it. If you've got a line array, okay, let's say you've got a line of speakers like I do in my bedroom. They're 6 feet tall of drivers, right? And there's 18, let's see, it's 9, 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's like 9 or 12 mid-ranges and then like 30 tweeters, right? All in a row. So, but let's imagine if it were, that's not the best example because let's imagine if there was, you're at a speaker where the bass is at the bottom and then and as it goes up and then your tweeter's at the top, right? The closer you get, the middle of the speaker is going to be the closest to your ear. The tweeter is going to be farther from your ear because you're closer, it's higher up, right? So as you go back, it comes down, everything goes together. So absolutely, you need to be far enough away from a speaker so that wave can develop, so that your full cohesive sound can develop. Otherwise, you're gonna get beaming off something that's right in front of your ear at ear height. It's not gonna. It's just that's what happens. So absolutely, depending on how tall they are. That's what it has to do, is how tall are they, how far apart are the drivers, and how tall are they from the top to the bottom. The taller they are, the further away you have to sit from them, for sure. Fisher and Fisher, but brand like Fisher and Fisher never going to become a Wilson or a Focal pricing wise. What do you mean they'll never be $250,000? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I mean that's right. They won't do that. They have higher integrity, so they won't. Um, there's no real need. I mean, and the Fisher and Fishers aren't people that make trophy acquisition. They make speakers that are usable, and for those, the top level Wilsons. I'm guessing this is what you're talking about. $250,000 speakers. Is that what you're saying? Pricing wise, they'll never make stuff that's that expensive. They probably won't, because that's going after somebody that is a trophy acquisition buyer, that you lose passion for the audio arts at some point, and then you just do this Frankenstein creation because you can, and because you can get the money for it, and I don't think Fisher and Fisher are those type of people that would do that. I don't think they're after that buyer. I don't think that's their thing, to try and make, a Pagani, right, or something like that. That's not what they're after. And hopefully they never become a widget maker where they, everybody and their brother is selling, Fishers. That's really, that would peter it out. Hell yeah, gold and silver mining stocks going nuts too. Yeah, man. I'm sure they are. Let's say Fisher and Fisher will match or approach TAD prices. Yeah, I don't think I don't think they will, which I don't think so. I agree with you. Then they will still be competitive performance wise and still beating TAD in construction. Agreed. And TAD is a wood speaker. It's whatever MDF. It uses veneers. It's typical furniture speaker. Meaning they make it like they make a piece of furniture. It's how, and in fact, a lot of these speaker companies were once cabinet companies. They made cabinets, kitchen cabinets, whatever, cabinets or furniture, and someone convinced them to make speakers. They realized they could make a hell of a lot more money in speakers, and they started doing it. And as a matter of fact, I think, can't remember who, I think Eggleston was, and if I'm not mistaken, does anybody know the history on Wilson? Wasn't Wilson the very first Wilson? Weren't they cabinet makers? Anyways, so yeah, it definitely would. Now, if you like oval round things like the TAD is like soft looking, right? If we look at just commercial design, let's look at industrial design. The Fisher and Fisher is brutalist design. It's clean cut, beveled, straight lines with rock. It's very strong looking. It's masculine. It's not soft and organic, like say a YG Acoustics would be, right? Very soft and organic and feminine curves, and so there's design elements that are in there, but the sonic, and I think the Fisher and Fisher sonic is more true to the music, where the TAD is a little sweeter. It sweetens things, and that's actually kind of like what I liked about TAD, is that it sweetens things a little bit, and that's kind of like its thing that it does, but it's not as true as a Fisher is. And the Fisher is the most accurate, true speaker to me without being harsh. It rides that fine line. It's just like Playback Designs. They're two perfect examples of something that can have total accuracy and complete defining edge and image, leading edge definition, dynamics, and then but not be too sharp and not be aggravating and not be fatiguing. Like they both have it dead nuts right down in the middle. It's the best of both worlds. That's very hard to do. Most speakers are gear is either too a little on the soft side, like TAD, a little bit sweet, or it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit on the other side, like Wilson to me. And to get it right dead nuts in the middle, extremely hard to do. I think Fisher and Fisher, Playback Designs did it. I think Jeff Rowland does it. Jeff Rowland might lean ever so slightly to the musical, but it's like a half a click, yeah, so Fisher and Fisher is for sure, there is no better value. Let's put it that way. The only reason to a person wouldn't buy Fisher and Fisher would be is if they absolutely don't like the look. Like if they can't deal with that look, they're like, well, I really need something that can be a color that matches my wife's couch or whatever. Sometimes the women are involved and it needs to match the room in some way. Typically black is okay for a room. It's non, it doesn't, and these are kind of a charcoal gray, so they don't really strike too hard. They're not like real dark black. But sometimes people want wood grain, or colors, they want it in colors. So we actually can paint Fisher and Fishers. I've never done it because to me, it's like painting a mahogany door or painting mahogany. You just don't paint mahogany. It's like painting walnut too. Use pine, use some other shit wood if you're going to paint it. Don't use the beautiful stuff that you can oil or lacquer, that's beautiful hardwood. Don't paint that stuff. So I feel the same way with the slate. Like, don't paint slate. It's a beautiful natural product. But if people want it, we'll polish it smooth, and then paint it with whatever color you want, whatever PPG or whatever you want a color to match your Ferrari, or whatever. But again, that gets into the weirdness, and but we can do whatever you want with speakers. I've heard of people matching their car. I just think it's weird when you match a speaker to your car. They're completely unrelated things, but it's whatever. We can do whatever. Although there will be clients who will prefer to choose TAD at that point because of the design, look, exactly. Finish, yes, furniture, lacquer, compared to the brutalist slate style. Yeah, see, you're picking up on it exactly, man. Which is less popular broadly. True, it is true. And I have another brand that I will be introducing soon. It's made in America, and I will have something that is not brutalist and not slate, and it is commensurate. It's not as strong. It's really freaking good because look, I won't carry anything that's just good. It has to be great. And these guys did a freaking great job at making speakers. And they will be, I'm not going to tell you about them now, but you'll be able to have them in colors. There'll be wood veneer options. I mean, the options on them will be pretty much limitless, but I will pick my own options for my tribe. I'll pick the selections. In other words, I'm not going to bring in a speaker that every single person gets to choose all their shit. Like you could, if you really want to, we'll charge for it. You can, but you give somebody too many choices and it just makes things, I'll make them in black. I'll make them in white. I'll make them with a couple veneer, baffles, and just they'll have very limited choices. Let's see. Oh yeah. So yes. So that's coming. That's coming for people that don't want a brutalist slate style. Although I like it. I even like brutalist architecture. Sup, Mikey. Sup, Ari. Maybe you've been asked before, but what do you think the future of hi-fi is with circuit topology and our components and or components in circuit boards or in general? Thanks. Looking good, by the way. Thanks, brother. I'm a little unshaven, but I appreciate the compliment. Okay, so what do I think the future of hi-fi is with circuit topology? Well, I mean, for hi-fi, it's pretty basic, man. I mean, to make an audio amplifier, to make a DAC, all that stuff's been done. We're not really changing it much. The latest thing is trying to make a Class D amplifier sound like old technology, right? Which is really funny. It's the latest tech, but they're trying to make it sound like the older tech by making it sound tube-like or whatever, right? And AGD, I think, is the king of making Class D that does not sound like Class D. However, it is very, right down the middle. It does not. It is again true to the music. I tend to with amplifiers like a window to the music, but I don't mind a touch of romance. That's why I use the vacuum tubes. So I don't know, man. The future with circuit topology, I don't think there's really going to be any breakthroughs. I think they're going to keep regurgitating. I mean, to make music sound louder, an amplifier, it's an old technology, and it's not, it's like in hi-fi we embrace the old stuff. So what's going to happen with the circuits? They're just going to get I they're not going to change much, man. There's not going to be much different. They may come up with, maybe class H starts getting better or whatever. I just don't know. But you know, I think as we move forward, things our industry will become a vintage type hobbyist industry. The way it is now, it's not modern really when you look at how we listen to music and the things we do, especially vinyl. It's archaic, old, vintage technology. That's what makes it cool. But for how long people think that's cool, the kids that are around now probably won't. I mean, some of them may think vintage. I mean, it would be like us listening to one of those Victrola things, that has the big like flower horn thing with a thing that drops down that has the needle, and it's like, you know, that would be like, I mean, that's going to be that was 100 years ago or whatever. So if we look at vinyl and look at the kids that vinyl's 100 years old, it may not be that cool to them. They may look at it like it's just super interesting, but it belongs in a museum. So in general, and components are going to keep getting better. Okay, so components are going to keep getting smaller and more efficient and with better heat dissipation. That's what they do. The materials just keep making things smaller and more efficient, and that means less heat. So that's going to happen. You're going to find more things are going to probably get smaller. The day of having big, huge amplifiers and all that shit, that is so old and backwards thinking that it's really a certain mindset. And I don't think that mindset will make it through. Like the designs will stay, they'll work fine forever. But I don't think people that want that shit is going to be around, because I just don't see the younger generation feeling that it's necessary to have big honking heavy shit to make music. Speakers, you kind of can't get around it. But I think there'll probably be new technology where things you can beam through plasma beams or whatever, where we may be able to supersede traditional magnet motor structures and drivers. They may come up with something like that. It may be something eventually that you saw how in when they took Maduro, they used directed energy weapons, right? Okay, so that's not new. That's been around since the 50s, where you direct, I mean, look up Havana syndrome. It's you can direct microwaves at let's say you've got an enemy that's in a house or whatever. You can direct microwaves into that guy's house and make him sick. And he won't know. You didn't poison him. You didn't have to come into his country. You could do it from another country, from whatever, a satellite or whatever, and radiate the guy's, cook his noodle, and make him sick with radiation. Why wouldn't you be able to attenuate that? Maybe not use microwaves, but maybe there's something else that's a different type of wave that you could radiate your cranium, and you could make your cranium resonate, the bones in your skull, and you could make music inside your head. That could be something. Then you don't need speakers. You don't need an audio system. You're beaming the music and resonating your skull cavity. There's infinite things that can happen with AI and the way that development in just technology is going. We've got no idea where it will go. Holograms that'll come into your room where you're going to be sitting with Bono and an AI version of Bono, and he could come into your room and talk with you and ask you what song you wanted to hear, and then he could just play a song. He could make up and create a song for you and your wife's anniversary, like right there on the spot. That's like where this shit's going. You're going to have performers in your room, holograms, AI holograms that'll be singing to you. So who knows? Is it going to be big ass freaking, Griffin amps and big ass Wilson speakers. No, I don't see that happening at all. I think we're seeing the end of an era, and I think that's why everybody in the audio industry that you see is so hell bent to squeeze the last blood out of the turnip because they see it drying up and they're trying to squeeze it for all it's worth before they can't squeeze anymore. And that's why I think these things are going up to 1 million, 2 million, $3 million because they're doing the last grasp. It's like the last gasp before they die. It's a desperation. It's like, what else are they going to do, man? Go for because the mindset's going to change. So get the guys with the mindset before they die. Squeeze them for every last drop of blood you can before they die because their kids are not going to fucking want their audio systems. I see it, man. They give them away. They don't give a shit about that big ass heavy shit. I went to a widow's house the other day and her husband bought well. He has some wicked shit in his house. And I even looked at it and didn't want it. Like, I'm like, oh, Jesus, it's all that big shit that I can't stand. I can't stand, Fisher and Fishers, they may be heavy, but the speakers, I'm still taller than my speaker is, but these giant things that are like, towering, huge behemoth things. And then I looked at where the house was on a hill and, they're in the basement. They're going to have to go into crates. In order to sell those things, okay, it's like $5,000 in hard cost just to get them packed, taken out of there and brought up a hill in the grass. How are they even going to do that? I'm like sitting there going, God, you'd have to have a winch, you'd have to have a tractor, you'd have to have some sort of a thing to pull it up so it can't, because if it gets loose, like a guy with a dolly, it's going to go down that hill and into the woods, And so the whole pain in the ass of moving those things, and then somebody, God forbid, wants to sell them after they buy them, and you got to go through a whole nother rigmarole of hiring piano movers and all that shit and dealing with all this heavy shit. So over the next 10 years, you guys are going to see a glut of used big ass heavy shit that cost an arm and a leg that nobody's even going to freaking want. You're not going to be able to even give it away. I'll say that again. If we went to that, I went to the widow's house. The speakers are so big and obnoxious that if she gave them to you, it would cost you $5,000 to get them out of there and get them to where they're going. If you got them for free, it's $5,000 to get them out of there and ship them, So that's what this shit's going to be like. People are not going to want it. She offered me some amplifiers, huge tube amps. I looked at them and I cringed. I was like, ugh. There was a day when I would have creamed my jeans over big ass heavy tube monoblocks like that, like thought they were the coolest thing. I can show off these big giant things in my room. But I've been through that. I've been down that cul-de-sac, down that dead end. I call it a cul-de-sac because it's a freaking dead end when you go down there, right? You got to turn around and come back because you're like, this shit makes no sense. It's too heavy. It's too hot. It's totally inefficient. It sounds good, but for what ends? Now, the things that we have now, we can make things that sound phenomenal, much smaller, much more efficient, much better. So there is going to be a glut. You're going to see a ton of this old used shit, and at some point, there's going to be nobody to fix them because nobody's going to give a shit about them. Even now, if you try and get that stuff fixed, it's all older dudes that were trained in that stuff that fix these things, that are able to look at circuits and figure them out without needing a schematic or whatever. There's nobody going to school right now that a young guy that is like, I'm going to go into analog audio circuit design. Trust me, there's nobody. I mean, somebody's kid, or there might be one oddball kid here or there that thinks it's cool and that is going into it, but it's not going to be something. So even when there's a glut and you've got all this old shit out there, I think it's going to be hard to get it fixed at one point. And then tubes are going to be non-existent at some point. Well, you get the basic ones, that the Chinese make, but like, who's going to make tubes once these tube companies die? Who's going to continue on making tubes for a non-existent product? None of it makes any sense. The only thing and that's why people are going to these $500,000 amps and shit like that, because they're trying to squeeze the last bit of juice out of that berry before it dries up. So, my suggestion is have fun with what you're buying. Don't go too crazy. Don't buy huge, heavy shit unless you've got a big ass room for it and you need something that big. Jeff Rowland, like this, you can, it's very modern. Jeff Rowland stuff doesn't break. I know this, I would have to do warranty claims. I never get warranty claims on Jeff Rowland. Playback Designs, I never get warranty claims on Playback Designs. So I think that was kind of a long-winded answer to your question. Dan, what's up, man? Hello, Mikey and Tribe. What's going on? Tommy made me chuckle from Facebook. I had SN70 bookshelves and replaced them with moderner audio Platinum 3G for mainly only one reason. They couldn't handle music and movies on high volumes. When I told this to Mr. Fisher, he replied politely with a German accent, well, it's not a potty speaker. Other than that, I didn't have any other complaints. You don't buy a monitor to try and crank, a movie, whatever you're talking about. What is the word? Jurassic Park, right? You don't buy a mini monitor. You know what the drivers are like on those? They're 5 1/4. So you're gonna buy 5 1/4 and then expect them to play at a high clip, and monitor audio speakers are horrible speakers to me. They sound like ass, but look, some people want to play loud. They're just like, they want a fraternity speaker. And that's what Fisher's talking about. It's not a potty speaker it's not a party speaker, because it's not. If you want a party speaker, get a fucking Serwin Vega, get something that you can spill beer on and beat the shit out of and crank louder than crap while you got your dinosaur steps going in your gunshots. This is a refined music speaker, not a movie speaker. Movie speakers, you just use cheap shit, that you put them in the wall or you hang them on the wall, or if you just want, like, if you got bigger Fishers, and you really gave a shit, you could buy something bigger. And I don't think the guy bought them from me, because if he bought them from me, he could trade them in and get bigger speakers. But you can tell if he went to monitors from Fisher's, he went to a cheaper brand, a cheaper build, so that he could get more drivers for the money. So some people are after, how many drivers can I get for $1,000? How many woofers can I put on it for my, and then you're like, well, what do you got? What's your budget? Well, $4,000, or something. It's like, dude, call Danny Ritchie, call one of those guys. They'll set you up with whatever, the best shit for $4,000, but that's not my area. Mikey, are you building up calluses on your fingertips from practicing the guitar? No, man, I have, I've been negligent. I have not, I've just been negligent, man. I've not been doing that. I haven't been playing. I need to get my ass on it and just force myself to play every day. It's one of those things you have to set to it and do it every day, or nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean? And, it takes, I get a little discouraged because it's like, I look at videos and I see how good people are and I'm like, holy fuck, that would take me 30, 40 years to get like that. Like, I guess I just got to pick it up. It feels good when I pick it up. I like the way it feels on my body, the resonance and all that kind of stuff. But no, so I haven't been. Hey, Andrew, how's it going, man? Oh yeah, you're about ready. I was about ready to ask you about the amps. So everybody that's listening right now, we're going to see in a couple comments below. Andrew here, the motorcycle racer in Grand Rapids, Michigan, picked up, there's a Ferrari, by the way, in Grand Rapids that I keep looking at. And I'm like, God, I could just go get it and then drive it back. I could go visit with Andy and hang out and then drive it home, man. Take it on a road trip. There's some sort of car dealer out there, because I see a couple things I've seen, pretty wicked cars in Grand Rapids. Anyway, so he's going to tell us about the amps that he bought. He bought some Nat SE1 monoblocks. And as a matter of fact, Andrew, when I went out to get Andrew's pair of speakers, I found another pair. I'd forgotten all about them. I have a brand new pair of SE1s that Andrew just got. I have another pair, thank God, because these things are pre-tariff. The tariffs right now in Serbia are 35%. So I've got a full pause on anything I'm importing from Serbia because, it's just too much of a price hike. Um, let's see what Ari says. Trip out. I came up on a preamp with Carver's sonic holography. Oh yeah, that's tripped out. I'm just curious. Not going to keep it. Carver was one trippy dude with his designs and claims, but I like weirdos. Yeah, so do I. And he's on his own trip. That was like they did weird shit with Phase. It's just like all trickery. None of it is. It's just it's stage tricks or like what parlor tricks. It works. And it gets weird and they're fun to play with, but it's not the art. It's the art of marketing rather than the art of the design, of audio analog, circuit purism. It's the art of marketing. Like, let's make something goofy that people will buy. We'll give it a name. We'll patent it or whatever, that's, it works sometimes. So Andy says the new amps are killer, even right out of the box. Biamp went smoothly with the active crossover. Sweet buddy, they're exactly what I was looking for across the line. Good buddy. See, if you guys consult with me, I get your ass across the line, and I guarantee that I'll get you across the line. If I don't, you can send all your shit back. I'll give you all your money back, no restock fee. I guarantee my results. Because I know what you guys get into this for. You get into this because you want a result, right? And it's not you get into this because you want to just keep wasting money and buying shit and realizing it doesn't do the trick and then buying something else and buying something else. I mean, that's not why you do this. You do it to get across a line and to check off hi-fi from your list so that you can go do other shit, man. Get a machine gun checked off your list. Get a Ferrari checked off your list. Get Ducati or 2 Harleys or whatever the hell you want, man. A house in the mountains, so you can go mountain biking or you can do kayaking or you can go hunting or snowshoeing or skiing or snowboarding or helicopter. You can learn to fly a helicopter, or you could learn different languages and travel to Spain and go ride goats and eat cheese, or whatever, dude. I mean, it's like, fuck, hi-fi is such a small ass little teeny sliver of what life is that let's get it over with. Like, let me set you up so that your shit is dialed and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to hyper focus on it. All these other channels and all these other people, they would make you think, and the sellers and all this shit, they make you think that you just do this shit your whole freaking life. Hi-fi, audio, day in, day out for the rest of your fucking life. It's like, that's not, I don't tell you that. I tell you my job is to get it off your mind. My job is to get you out of hi-fi, not to keep you roped in it by yanking your chain all the time, It's just, and that is the resentment I have towards the industry, because the industry will have you thinking that it needs to be the hyper focus of your life. Like, for a dealer, yeah, it needs to be the focus of a dealer's life that is like especially a brick and mortar dealer that needs to go in every day, and do that shit. Maybe that's their life. They need to be, but it doesn't have to be your life. It's their life. And their life is, they're a slave, bro. Okay? You don't have to be, but they are. They have to go in and open the door every day. They have to, or they're not going to make any money. Okay? So let them be the bitch, and then you reap the rewards. Okay? So that's my feeling on it. Let me figure that shit out for you. That's what I signed up for, and I keep it simple, man. Have you ever heard any limitation in sound output from a Fisher & Fisher loudspeaker in terms? Oh, of course, dude. There is no such thing as clapback, dude. What the fuck is that? Like, should we look it up? Like, how about we ask? I never even heard. Let's ask Grok. Maybe I'll get embarrassed right now. But that's a term. Sounds like some sort of pro audio bullshit term. Let's see what Grok has to say about it. Maybe I'll get embarrassed here. Tell me what the word or the term clapback means. Is there such a term that is any sort of a term that is used in the industry for audio and listening to a loudspeaker?
Clapback usually means a quick, witty comeback in a verbal spat, like shutting down someone's shade online. In audio, yeah, there's a term. Clapback can refer to acoustic feedback or echo in speakers, where sound bounces back and creates a loop. But it's not super common lingo in the industry. More folks say feedback or reverb.
Okay, so clapback is not something that you would hear in the room. It's something that is used when you're in doing a production. Is that correct?
Not exactly. In a live room, if speakers are pointed wrong or mics too close, you might hear a sharp clapback like squeal from feedback, but it's not the main term pros use there. They'd call it feedback. Production folks might say clapback jokingly for bad audio loops, though.
Bad audio. So it's not a term. Okay, it's clear it's not a term that means anything. So I suggest whoever used the term clapback, Dan, don't take them serious. That is a sign that this person doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Okay. And of course, I can get my Fisher and Fisher SN70s to max out. Are you kidding me, dude? It's got a driver this big. I can put 100. Well, I can put a Jeff Roland on it and make that thing shit the bed if I wanted to. I could break it. There's like there isn't unless you get to a speaker like the 570 or above. It's gonna get louder than I will. It'll break my eardrum before I break the speaker. Okay, but now we're talking about volume levels that are dangerous and highly unlikely that anyone would listen at that volume level. And people listen typically at 80 to 90 dB. Anything over that is stupidity. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of times people like to be like, "Oh, look at me." It's a car audio trick. It's a car audio thing. It's totally ghetto to be like, "Oh, look, I can do whatever." I mean, it might be interesting sometime. You can say, "Let's see how loud these things can go." And it's just like a joke. You're just like laughing, like, "Let's see how high we can get this thing to go." Now, I'll let you know one thing that you need to know when people are showing SPL or whatever. Is that if you've got subwoofers right in front of you, let's say you have a coffee table, for instance, and it's got subwoofers in it, okay, and you're holding the fucking microphone right above the subwoofer, you're gonna get a high ass SPL rating, and it's not gonna tell you shit about what the normal speakers. It's going to be skewed and incorrect because you've got subwoofers right fucking under the microphone, right? So you're going to be able to make that thing go nuts. But if you turn the subwoofers off, and you tried to play some little ass 6.5-inch drivers or something at 115 dB, you're going to break them. That's all there is to it. So yeah, everything has limits, of course. Little Fisher and Fishers, if I juice them, sure, I'll find their limit, but that's up to me to know the limit and to know what amplifier to put them with and to know how you listen and what your room size is, and then to recommend the speaker for you that you're not going to ever find its limit. And so when I match Fisher and Fisher for people, they don't ever, 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 not even once, knock on wood, complain and say, "Oh, this kind of sucks. I'm getting my Fisher to tap out, and when I turn it up, it kind of like it shits the bed." I don't get that. And if you want to play loud, playing loud is kind of it's fun, but it's a childish game. And I'll admit that when I turn shit up, I'm being immature. I will turn shit up because it's like it's fun. It's like getting in a 575 horsepower car and then burning rubber. It's fun, but totally immature and totally stupid. And you're just going to piss people. There's no reason to do it other than to be an immature kid that is misbehaving. So it's the same with the audio. When I turn it up like that and I've got Tool playing, it's metal or it's something hard like that, I'm being a fucking child misbehaving is what I'm doing. I'm acting like I'm 13 years old. Okay. And I rarely do it, but sometimes for the video, it's like, let's see, I did it while, times ago where you show it, and it's just stupid. You don't judge speakers by how loud they can play. Unless you're trying to make a potty speaker, okay? In which case, I've got a pair for sale. I made a pair that will play louder than any any hi-fi speaker will. They're made like professional audio. Like when you go to a concert, there's certain drivers that are used in those towers, those line arrays, that are for incredibly high wattage and incredibly high output. And you can buy those and put them into boxes and put them into your room and play stuff that is incredibly way too loud for and dangerous, you know. And I made a pair of those. They will actually take 500 watts continuous. You can give them 500 watts and they'll break your eardrums, you know, and they'll play louder and deeper than anything you'd ever heard in hi-fi. Hi-fi stuff will typically, unless it's the real kind of big stuff, you'll break it if you play it too loud. But Fisher and Fisher will play stronger, with more juice than any wooden speaker that I know of, and certainly any open baffle speaker. So that's for sure. So yeah, and clapback is not a term. So funny. Trade in your silver for slate. No way, buddy. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if people want to trade me their silver for slate, absolutely. Slate on the rise as well. It sounds like. What do you mean? I think I saw somewhere vinyl sales have increased every year for the past 20 years in a row. Yeah, yeah, they've well, is it really been 20 years? Is that when it became popular again? Because there was a point where you couldn't give you had to give them away and they weren't worth shit. And that maybe that was oh yeah, okay, so 20 years 26. Yeah, so that was in the late 90s when records were just shit. And then it became a fad and you bring people back and you show them that the record thing is cool, which the record thing is cool. It just doesn't sound as good as digital to me. But it's cool, you know. So, yeah, so yeah, yeah. I mean, and I'm stupid not to sell it, right? I should be selling cartridges for 20 grand and arms for 15,000 and you know, turntables for 100 grand, Orion or what are those, Oracle or whatever the hell, you know, turntables. I just won't do it, man. I can't tell somebody getting into the hobby that they need to do that shit. I can't. I just it's not good advice to me. What's good advice is not trying to start a record collection. Just listening to you radiates my cranium. Love you, Donnie. Thanks for the comment, man. Coming to see you, dude. As soon as it warms up, as soon as you don't have 18 feet of snow, I'll come and see you. Could it be someone other than Bono in my room? Sure, man. Absolutely. I'm just like, I don't know why Bono came to mind, but it could be, you know, Diana Krall. Shit, that's the one I'd want in my room, dude. You know, I wouldn't like the music, but, you know, I would like the companionship. What is your opinion on bringing ASC tube traps out of front corners to where they are a foot from the speakers, between speakers and front wall cord? Play with it. Do it, dude. I mean, these things are whacked out. I mean, I've taken them and turned them quarter turns, and it's been like gone from shit to all of a sudden good. It's like they affect the sound in such a crazy way that absolutely try them in, try them out, try them in corners, try them pulled out, try them next to the speakers, try them on the side of the speakers, try them on the inside of the speakers, on the outsides, at the backs. Keep trying it, man, because you will hit somewhere where you're like, holy shit, leave them right there. Yeah, and I'm about ready to try some active things. I got some active sub bass traps that I'll be checking out and working on to see if I'm going to carry them. Good evening, Mikey. Looks like transistors are heading towards gallium nitride. Yes, of course they are. All transistors, for sure they are. How long do you think before it trickles down into becoming affordable for all manufacturers to implement? 4 figures versus the 5. Well, already it is like 4 figures. Like, what do you mean? Like $5,000 is 4 figures, right? There's gallium nitrides out there for 5 grand for monoblocks. I think, you know, an Orchard Audio might even have them for less. But I think, what's his name? Ralph Karsten at Atmosphere, you know, does them for under 10K. AGD does them for $7,800. So if you're talking about like $1,200, and look, the thing is, Joseph, that it does, just because it's gallium nitride does not guarantee that it's good design or that it's going to sound good. Okay. Gallium nitride was a boom because the best designers in the industry started to use it. right? That's what made them good. But these designers had leading class designs before they started using gallium nitride. It wasn't like they were just schlubs and then all of a sudden and they had shitty designs and then they put in gallium nitride and then they got better. A shitty circuit is a shitty circuit with gallium nitride or without gallium nitride. It does not matter. A gallium nitride is just it is just a, and here go, if we go back to what Ari was saying about where do I think components are going, this is a great example of that. This is the transistor component going through an evolutionary change. They found a new material. It's material science. The new material is more efficient. It's got better heat transfer. It's easier on the planet, and it switches faster. So that's going to happen across the board with components. So, but just because a single, it's like saying, we've got, cookies and we just, figured out how to refine sugar, right? And everything up until now has been made with raw sugar, which I actually like better. But, and now we've got refined sugar and, we're making these new cookies with refined sugar. Well, then you're like, well, does it mean every cookie that has refined sugar is going to taste good? No, it doesn't. It just means they figured out a way to refine something and it can be used well, but if not used well, it'd be horrible, right? So I'm trying to find a way to explain it. So just because gallium nitride gets cheap and everybody uses it, it doesn't, there's still going to be shitty amps that are gallium nitride, and that sound like horrible shit ass class D. It doesn't mean it's going to be good. But the guys that are good at design will be able to take it even further with the use of gallium nitride. So I hope that answered your question. I love how my fishers sort of absorb light versus reflecting it. Yeah, for sure, man. They have that kind of that effect. They don't reflect like a piano gloss would. That's pretty cool. They're very, very natural. Mikey, Fisher and Fishers are heavy speakers, as are the Nat tube amps. Yes, they are. I'm not sure I agree with your opinion about other gear being too heavy. Well, I'm talking about, what I'm talking about, Dan, is things that are over 200 pounds, not 100-pound stuff. 100-pound isn't heavy. And I'm talking about amplifiers. I'm not talking about speakers. Speakers will always be heavy, no matter what. You can't get around it unless they do cranium radiation or they do, some sort of membrane that can just be stretched. And then you've got a full membrane speaker thing that's just like a clear piece of plastic that is a giant thing that goes in a frame in the room, and that might be able to be light. Or you get carbon fiber, super rigid stuff like, Vivid Audio. Those are light, but mostly speakers are just going to be heavy. And I'm talking about big, gargantuan, hard to move stuff. Fishers are not hard to move. All the way up to 770s, I move them with my wife. The big ones, I can't move with my wife. But starting at 770 down through the whole line, every single pair I move with my wife, not a problem. And but I'm talking about things that need piano movers, things that you and the wife can't move, things that like need special handling. That's what I'm talking about. So the big old Mark Levinson amps, the big old Griffin amps, the big Boulder amps, the big giant shit. People that want trophy acquisitions, the guys that might want show off shit, will still buy them, and those are going to be the only ones buying them, is trophy acquisition people, because people with common sense don't want shit that's that big. But when your house is 30,000 square feet and your rooms are 800 square feet, you need something to fill that room, and a small compact rig just isn't going to do it. So you have to have the big stuff. So they will, so it's a different thing. But I'm talking about, back in the day, many people had huge huge Krells, all that stuff. It's just that stuff is going to be, nobody's going to want it. And just mark my words, you don't have to believe me. Just say note to self in I'll even say 5 years from now. 5 years, but definitely 10 years, that stuff's going to be all over the market. Nobody's going to be interested. It's just going to dive in value. Nobody's going to want it. And it's just that's what I'm talking about. The stuff that needs to be special handling to move around. P.S. I like the sound of big amps, and I have to add the rare plus of some local teenage punk can't walk in and walk out with my 2-ohm AB bone anchor as opposed to all my gear in underarm. Yeah, okay, that's personal what you like, right? And somebody asked me, where do I see the industry headed from, like what they'll make, right? And that was what I was answering. I'm not saying what's cool or what people like or whatever. Somebody asked me, where do I see the industry heading? And the industry heading is not fucking 300-pound Class AB amps or Class A amps. That's absolutely not where the future is going. I'll guarantee you that. But there's a lot of people that like old classic cars that smell like gas and that run like shit and that smoke and that have shit ass brakes and suspension squishy like a fucking pogo stick, you know, and many people like that old shit. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's definitely not where the future is going, right? And that was what the question is. The question was, where do I see the future going? But I like, my amps are big and heavy too. My speakers are 685 pounds, made out of stone, you know. But it's my shit. I'm not under any sort of a, you know, delusion that my stuff is cutting edge technology. I know my shit is old, except for my DAC. But other than that, in my streamer, my whole back end, the speakers, and it's old ass technology, old ass, you know, probably high distortion on my amps, you know, probably sending out fields into my room. You know, who knows? Who cares? It sounds great. That's all I care about, you know? So, but it's definitely not modern. And vinyl playback continues to evolve with better designs and optical cartridges. Cool. Yeah, that's great, man. Not for me, it doesn't. I sent Fisher a technical. What'll tell us more is, are people making records anymore? So as if people still make better designs and optical cartridges, so I don't know what you mean about better designs. Optical cartridges is new, but is there any better designs in a turntable? You know, that I don't know, man. I think they've pretty much done it all. I don't know that they could go do any more. They have already got maglev turntables and all that shit. I think the optical cartridge is something new because, you know, the advent of laser tracking and whatever the hell the laser does to, you know, send the feedback back. However, where's it going? Are people still going to make records? That's the thing. Are there going to be guys that want to cut records, you know, and make records? If sales are still up, then I guess they would, you know. And, you know, now they're making records from digital masters anyways. So they're going to need playback designs equipment in their production studio. And you'll be seeing some of my videos coming up soon. I've got a trip planned to California. I've got scheduled to go to some Hollywood recording studios where they want to hear playback designs. And I will ever so nicely take them out of their merging technologies or whatever their other crap that they use in there, because what you guys don't know is the high-end audio guys, our DAX are fucking 10 times better than the DAX that they use in the recording studios. They use shit in the recording studios. It's a joke. And their A to Ds and all that kind of stuff. So the stuff that they're making their records with or making their music with, making the recordings with, is nowhere near, in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, totally substandard. You know, totally substandard. And I know this because I've gone to mastering studios and I've seen what gear they use. Some of it is wicked, and then the DAC, and you get to the DAC and you're like, holy shit, do you guys even care about your DAC? They use some pro audio DAC that's, you know, $5,000 DAC or $6,000 DAC. But I will be I'm going to start going to them. They're curious now, and I'm going to start going to the recording studios, and we will compare. And I'll do videotapes where we'll say, here's what they use to make your music, and here's what the playback design sounds like. And then I'll get a guy with a Grammy award to comment on the difference in sonic, you know. I sent Fisher a technical question about a crossover frequencies, and Thomas directly answered my email. Pretty cool. Yes, man. He's cool like that. He's very good. XYZ. Yeah, they are over by my house. Is that who they? Oh, you know who these guys are? The car guys? Skiing in my next hobby to conquer. Excited because it's the first hobby I've had that my wife enjoys too. Oh, awesome, man. Cool. Having a post Japanese sukiyaki dinner. Smoke Greeny, dude. How are you, buddy? Man, I haven't talked to you in a while, man. I'm coming to see your ass. In the spring, bro. I'll be headed out to Seattle, and I'm gonna start in Seattle and go all the way down, man, and all the way down to San Diego, Seattle to San Diego tour. And I'll bring a Playback Designs DAC. I'm going to be seeing some guys in Hollywood, seeing some guys in San Francisco that are pro people, production people, and then other clients and so forth. So I'm definitely coming by to have a stogie with you, and hopefully hear your timpani, dong your timpani, man. Fucking smack that thing, dude. I've never hit one of those. I'll go easy on it, bro. And then maybe hear your wife play piano. That would be wicked, dude. An Ashton Maduro cigarillo. Oh yeah, those are good, man. You can get them done quick. The cigarillo. It's good, man. Good to hear from you, Greeny, man. All the love, man. Joseph, additionally, I can't imagine a large Jeff Rowland 625 or 825 be upstood by a 20-pound expensive new Class D. No, it won't. It won't. But a 625 is not large, brother. It's not large at all. It's small. 825 were old. Those were huge because those were old. So if you look at the trajectory, to drive my point home, if you look at the trajectory of Jeff Rowland's amps, they have successfully gotten smaller over the years. They went from big giant behemoths, and then he understood where the market was going, and his 625, and I don't even know what an 825 was. Are those are those? There was 745, there was 735, 7, and then 925s. But I don't know what the 825 was, but there was an older 8 series. Anyways, his older shit was bigger, and his newer stuff is not big at all. The 555 is even smaller than the 625. But no, Class D is something different. But no, it's not going to be. So far, Class D can't beat Class AB to me. Class AB is my favorite sound. I mean, I like it better than Class A. Mikey, are you attending Axpona this year? Yeah, I'm sure I will. I don't really have anything. It's going to be a social engagement. I'm going there to see my boys in Chicago, and hang out with Andrew and have some cigars and Ziggy and my other boys and the other Andrew and Jared and all my boys in Chicago, man. Up there. Anybody who's there will be hanging. We'll have a tribe powwow. I'll see you for sure. The most important one. Great answer, Mikey. That totally answered my question. I'm an upper 4-figure guy, but like lots of power. That's mid 5 figures now, or am I mistaken? Upper 4 figures is what, $9,000? But like, you're making me work here, man. You're making my freaking my brain go. But like lots of power. So that's mid 5 figures now, or am I mistaken? Okay. So lots of power, but I mean, so how do you know you want lots of power? I mean, if I get you speakers that are more efficient, you don't need lots of power, but you'll have lots of volume. So what are you really after? And these are the questions that this is why you hire me. To ask you these questions. What are you after? If you're after volume, it doesn't mean lots of power. If you're after something that is hot and there's a reason why you want something with a lot of power, then you need to convince me. You need to tell me why you need power, why you want power, why. Because I can make things louder than you can listen with 100 watts. Yeah, but we can and that's why I'm here to consult. I hear that the guys who like those squishy, smelly old cars make great cigars. I'll bet they do, dude. They're Cubans. Yeah, exactly. That's for sure, man. They got the old 50s mobiles. Clark checking in from Oahu. What's up, Clark? How are you, buddy? Hit me up, dude. Would love to see you when you're out here for sure, bro. You are absolutely one of the guys. I gotta start making my list from the top. I gotta start with Seattle, and then start talking to me, and I gotta keep telling people that I'm going on this trip so that they can do this. What is Dan? Dan, are you trying to be on the live stream? Hang on.
Call from Dan. See that?
Yeah. Oh, he's calling in.
Accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Hang on a
press
second,
2.
because I think we got somebody. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, bro?
Good, man. Are you trying to be on the live stream?
I am.
Okay, hang on. Let me cue you up. Let me get this here. Where am I?
Finish up your conversation and bring me on.
Okay, well, yeah, hang on. Let me I gotta see why this thing isn't. Let me go here. Let me go here. Okay, there we go there. Yeah, no, I was just saying that I have to make my list of people, and I have to keep talking about it so people know that I'm coming down. Otherwise, people will call me after. Why didn't you come and see me? You know. Okay, so let's see, Dan, say something.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay, there you go. Okay, you're live.
Fantastic. Listen, Mikey. I'll be attending Axpona all 3 days this year.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, yeah, I may have Dustin until on one of those days. We'll see how it goes.
Cool, man.
So I'll definitely see you this year.
Yes. Okay, I look forward to it.
Yeah. So I really, I really wanted to bring up this topic with folks on the live stream, because I think that folks really need to understand and what the ground rules are for live stream conversations and discussions and things like that. I presume that, on live stream, if you don't have people that you're familiar with, engage in trolling activities, that you would probably block them, right?
Well, yeah. Like, for instance, we haven't had any trolling at all tonight. And really, I'm getting less and less as people used to, but just less and less. But yeah, I mean, if somebody trolls,
and
we figure it out, and then I just block them.
And I know that most likely everyone on the live stream tonight are probably tribe members. So
pretty much, yeah. Yep.
So they engage. They agree to a code of conduct with regard to respect of you and respect for others on the tribe.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's a good point too. If somebody does something that's not on the live stream, but they're part of the tribe, like let's say, for instance, I, found out that somebody, sold somebody something on my website, and it was misrepresented, and the person was unhappy, and they called me up and said, Mikey, I met this guy on your website, and he, sent me something that he said was mint, and it's all banged up, and he's a real prick about it, If he did that, I might, remove him as a tribe member, whoever did that, because there's a code of conduct, right? To become a tribe member, you have to agree to basically don't be a dick, and if you do anything that is against the code of conduct, then you can lose your tribe status, if you will. Yeah.
And in terms of others that are tribe members and or Mikey friendly in the past, bad mouthing you on other channels, would they be inclined to being blocked on your live streams?
Well, yeah, if I don't like you, I'll block your ass. I can, it's like, when you, this is my channel, which would be like, just like anybody's store, on the street, how they say we reserve the right to review service to anybody for any reason, and any private, ownership can do that. I reserve the right to block anybody for any damn reason I want to. If he hits on my wife, I could block him. If he, ashes his cigar on my foot, I could block him. if he tries, or whatever, I mean, I could block anybody for any
I got that.
reason. Typically, I've had it a couple times where people try and promote what they're doing on my channel. Like they try and bring people to their channel, or they try and talk about a product and they're shilling a product on my platform. I'll block those guys, because I'm like, they're just trying to use my and leverage my influence in my platform to pitch their shit, And if they talk to me, but then on the same hand, if there's a tribe member that's got a cool product and they're trying to get it off the ground and they're cool people, I may promote them. I may bring them on and we talk about it,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting that yeah. So I think folks should understand that about your live streams, that there are a variety of criteria that folks have to meet regarding being in good standing.
For sure.
In order to continue being on the live stream.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a lot of times that folks don't often understand that, when they present their viewpoint on other channels, about folks being of a certain ilk,
Yeah, sure.
And
it's yeah.
So
I can't.
It's always good to know that you have good solid criteria that everyone understands regarding the way your live streams are conducted, and your criteria for blocking folks, and that folks understand that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and even I can sometimes, I've blocked people that it has nothing to do with something that happened on a live stream. Like maybe it wasn't even a live stream, but in personal dealings with them, where they where yeah.
So I got that.
Yeah, so yeah.
I got that.
But yeah, there is a code of conduct. Yep.
All right, Mikey, listen, carry on, my friend. You're doing a great job tonight. I enjoyed all the commentary, and we'll be chatting about your other stuff.
Okay, man.
All right?
Sounds good, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye. Okay, so Dan is an attorney in Chicago. He's someone I'll see in he's an IP attorney in Chicago, and does patent work and trademark work and all that kind of stuff. He is a client of mine for many years, Harvard graduate, good guy. Okay, so where did I leave off? Okay, yeah, Greeny, and then that one brother, sup, Mikey, Oakland sends big love. Dude, I'll come and see your ass in Oakland. I'll be in San Fran, so I'll holler. And then we'll chill, man. We can listen to some tunes and go to your favorite haunt for food or whatever, man. Turn me on to some good shit. Michael asks, is there typical minimum wattage on a stereo tube amp to run current hungry Maggies at normal volumes, like maybe 50 watts minimum? Okay, so you're talking about two different things, current and wattage. So they're two different things, and they operate independent of each other. You can have something with a ton of watts and low current. So I could have a 2,000 watt amp that runs Maggies like shit because it's low current. It's like all wattage and no current. Typically, the more wattage you have, the less current you have. Typically, the lower current and in like the case of Class A, you've got almost all current and like low watts. That's why like a Class A 50 watt Class A amp kicks utter ass, and a 50 watt Maggie, a 50 watt, depending on how they're made. But no, there is no watts minimum really for a Maggie. You just want something that pushes current, and that's in amps. How many amps of current can it push? Or you just know, is it a high current amp? Typically high current amps are very heavy and big with big transformers. That's typically how you can tell a high current amp. And typically they might be on the lower end of the wattage. But when you find there's really anything over 300 watts in hi-fi is kind of questionable. You need to ask yourself why, what are they doing here? Why do they have more than 300 watts? It doesn't make sense. So somebody's saying they've got a 500 watt amp, it's always a red flag. It's like, you wonder, are they full of shit? Because very few amps are that powerful. The Playback Designs amp that is 600 watts at 8 ohms is almost as big as, God, what's the best thing that I can compare that with? It's people say a Volkswagen. It's 350 pounds, to get 600 watts. 600 watt amplifier that truly plays 600 watts at 8 ohms is a freaking gargantuan amp. They're huge. You just can't make that kind of wattage in small boxes. Otherwise, you're doing something jacked up. It doesn't compute. If you've got a small amp and it does 600 watts, it's like, okay, what kind of bullshit are you feeding me right now? Like, how are you coming up with that number? Like, especially with Class A. If someone says they got a small box and they say they got 100 watts of Class A, you're like, no, you don't. You don't at all. That's definitely not 100 watts of pure Class A. But many people, since it's unregulated, they come up with numbers and they can come ways of saying, well, it's Class A bias, and then it clicks in, or it's, AB until, they got weird ways of coming up with numbers. So you really got to be on. So no, there isn't really a minimum. But if you had to make me commit to a watts for Magnapan, you'd have to tell me what Magnapan, and then I could tell you what would be an average watts. But typically for any Magnapan, I'm saying 100 watts minimum, and then you're typically going to find some current that would be commensurate with powering a Magna. But on my Magnapan 3.7s, I used 300 watt tube amps on each side. I had 300 watt monoblocks for 3.7s, and they rocked. Yo, Seattle, what's up? Rev, good to see you, man. I talked to Samantha today. I said, girl, go find those damn cables, because they're there. Find those spools. They were there. She said, okay, we'll go look. I asked about the gallium nitride because it should make for great sound with a good design, of course. Yeah. Let me add, please, without sounding like a douche. I'm not a noob, but that's why I make you work. As well. I don't know what it is. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say. But yeah, gallium nitride, look, silicon or normal silicon sounds good with a great design, so it doesn't take gallium nitride to make things sound good. But if you're an A-star rated, designer, Class D designer, and you've been using silicon, if you just swap for gallium nitride and you've already got Class A designs, it's gonna work better. It's like, you've already got a killer ass Ducati and you've got steel, whatever brakes, and you put in ductile iron, or you've got a Porsche 911 and you've got regular brakes, it stops awesome. But if you put carbon ceramic brakes on, it's going to stop even better, right? But it's already a wicked car. But if you put carbon ceramic brakes on a freaking Toyota truck, it's not going to matter, right? So that's kind of like what I'm trying to point out. Why do people say Class A has more power or control compared to others like Class AB or Class AD, Class D? I don't think they say it has more power or control to Class AB, but I think they might to Class D. And they're basically just saying that typically Class A has more current. Okay, and so you can, when you've got a big massive transformer and you've got massive current, you can control a woofer better. The same thing happens with a big Class AB amp. And Class D is a little different. Class D, in my experience, does not control woofers the same way a Class A does. And that's from personal experience, swapping out a Class D for a Class A on my subs at one point when I had subs, 15-inch subs, and it was dramatic difference. I went from a 500 watt Class D monoblock per side to a 50 watt Class A stereo amp on each 50, for two 15s, and it was 10 times better with the Class A amp at 50 watts, 1/10 of the power, and it was way better. Hey, Mikey and Tribe, you are 100%. If it's a shitty design, it's shitty regardless of whether it's Class A, B, D, or G. You can Buy awful Class A gear, same as others. Quality isn't normally cheap. That's true. That's true. And people sort of need to know that. Who's the guy talking? That's Dan. Dan. He Drago. You see him on the live stream as Drago. He's the guy they called in. Apologies, meaning I like power because I think it's better to have more power than the speaker. Well, always, always, always. No distortion unless you reach mechanical limits of your speaker, of course. And I like my live recordings loud and with headroom. Okay, so yeah, but what you're talking about, we can get that same recipe from having a 100 in 1 dB sensitive speaker and an 8-watt amplifier, right? Because we're only ever going to use 1 watt, you know, when you have a speaker that sensitive. So you don't necessarily need power. You just need the good combination of power versus the sensitivity of the speaker. So what the question would be here with you and I is, do you want to build your speaker around a powerful amp? Do you want to match a speaker to a powerful amp, or do you want to match an amp to a sensitive speaker? Okay, because we can reach the same result by having a high efficiency speaker and a low powered amp, or a low efficiency speaker and a high powered amp. Does that make sense? It's 2 different ways to get the same result. And you can do it, then there's different reasons for each, you know, but it's highly unlikely you would ever need more than 300 watts, you know. I mean, you just won't. I mean, that's more than anybody can use, you know, unless you have some weird ass speaker that's like 1 ohm, you know. Evening, Mikey from Brazil. Hey, man. Good evening. Oh, what's the Tudo Bang, right? Tudo Bang. There we go, dude. I love coxinha, dude. We go get coxinha right up the street, man. And I'm over picanha, man. I'm over it. I'm over it. I found steak that I like better than picanha. But when I'm at the Brazilian place, I like picanha. But coxinha is so good, dude. Yum. And guarana, right? You drink guarana and get all wired out. Just tuning in. What's up, Costa, man? Thanks always for your sharing. You bet, buddy. That's what I'm here for. Easy one for you. Thinking of a pair of 1.7 for fun, new Sonic. Have plenty of current. Are they difficult to make disappear? They are a little tricky to work with, but they're, for the money you pay, they do magic. They do absolute magic with the imaging. The imaging is incredible on a Magnapan. But yes, Magnapan, in order to get them to 100%, there's some things you got to do. You got to bypass that fuse block bullshit on the back. You're going to want to put them with subwoofers. You're going to want to run 2 amp channels per side, one for the Magnapan and one for your sub. So it could be actually an active sub and a Magnapan. You're going to want to use an active crossover where you can have a mix level, where you can control the high to the low mix. So you want active crossover, 2 amps per side, or a powered amp, a powered sub, and a Maggie. And then you want to remove that crossover, bypass the crossover, however you do that. And then play with them, and then put them on better stands. Get them spiked into the ground on a rigid stand, and then play with them in the room, man. Put the tweeters on the outside. Don't put them on the inside. And you're gonna trip, dude. Those things are just they're mind blowing what they do. They're crazy. They're really good. Cool. Thanks for talking to Samantha. We're getting this fired up. You know it, buddy. Is there a way for manufacturers to measure provide standardized current specs in amplifiers? Yes, it's max output current. You know, or what is it? I'm trying to think. It's maximum output current. I think that is the specification. I could be wrong. Slew rate, and is what will tell you how it controls a woofer. Slew rate is its ability to like stop and start. That's like the related to damping factor, but it's the more important spec. So yeah, just all you have to do is just it might not be in their spec because there isn't a standardized spec that everybody needs to publish, right? Each manufacturer will either publish a whole shit ton of specs, like super delineated and super precise, and then some of them list like 5 different things: power, distortion, and they don't really go deep into it. And then the other guys will be really good about it. They'll tell you what distortion at what frequency at what, and they all this shit. So all you need to do is just ask them, is this a high current amplifier? How does it deal with difficult to drive loads, with a reactive load? How is it? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you if it, say, can I put a 2 ohm speaker on this thing, and just and find out. They'll tell you. Am I the Gouter acoustic dealer for Atlanta? No, I'm not. No, and I don't know that I would carry Gouter. I carry Fisher. I carry Fisher, not Gouda. Yeah, so I don't know that I would carry it, honestly. Master of Play, it's me. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, the right who was talking. Yep. Tudo bang. All right, man. Koshinya, yeah, I know, man. That shit is good, dude. I love that. They're so good. Mikey, I wish I had great hair like that. Stick your finger in the light socket, dude. Always great to see you and hear your no BS approach to the topics. Italians are still the best. Fabiano. Molto bene, bene. All right, man. Is it true that a powerful amp will sound less refined than a lower power amp? No, not at all. What sounds less refined is when you drive an amplifier into its distortion profile. Okay, so every amp has a 1 to 10 max power. Like 1 is 1 click, right, on the throttle, if you will. And then 10 is pedal to the metal, full throttle, all the way to 10 cranked, right? So at the very beginning of that throttle response, at the very, very beginning and up to like half, you're gonna have your lowest distortion, right? And when you get up and you start driving the amp into its highest output, you've got every single, you're starting to really tax it. That's when it starts to distort. So when you're using lots of power, okay, when your power ratio, let's say we have a ratio, everything goes to 10, if you've got an amp that is 800 watts, you're only going to go up to 2 out of 10. And you're going to have the same volume as one that's 200 watts is going to have to go to 8, right? So you're much better off with the big amp. And this is what one of the other guys was talking about earlier that likes big power, is because you use 20% of the amplifier. So you're in its sweet spot. Once you start turning an amp and digging into it, depending on how it's built, of course, some amps are very good when you dig into them. Jeff Rowland, you can dig into it. It doesn't distort. In fact, well, that's a frequency related thing, but and Playback Designs you can dig into and it doesn't distort till you can go far, dig into it. Some amps, you get them past halfway and they start to distort. So it doesn't have to do with the powerful amp. And in fact, the more powerful the amp is, actually it sounds more refined because you use less of its power on tap. Does that make sense? So it's just like having a small engine in a car going up a hill. You're winding it harder to make the car go up the hill. Whereas if you have a big ass engine, you're barely breaking a sweat to go up the hill. So you want your best situation is to have a combination between amp and speaker where your amplifier is way more than your speaker needs. That's always the best. Have way more than your speaker needs. Then you just use a little bit of the amp's power and you stay in that refined sweet spot. The envelope of like its most linear operational state. That's always the best. So you really actually want a powerful amp. The only way that powerful amps that you don't want a powerful amp is if they're cheap watts. If they're made shitty, if it's 2,000 watts, and you get it at like the swap meet and it's a 2,000 watt amp, for $149, that's just, those are cheap bullshit watts, right? But when you have high, well-built things, the more powerful they are, the less you're going to use of them and the more refined they'll be. I like my amps with an 11 setting. Hey, 11 stereo, you know it, man. It goes to 11, doesn't it? Is Jeff Rowland going to come out with a replacement for the 625S2? Doubt it. Don't think so. Kevin, you've got some kick-ass amps, dude. Those things still, I still sell them. The last one I sold, it's even out of production. 17. I mean, Tommy's here. Tommy, what did you pay? 17 grand, and he's so happy with it, man. You don't even find them used. They're just never used. If anybody finds a 625S2 used, snap it up, man. It's one of the best amps ever made. Yeah, you want headroom on the amp. That's for sure. Exactly. You are what? I'm what? You are the rep. I'm surprised that you don't carry Magnapan. Why not? It is something that I would have carried. They love me. I love them. They like Mikey a lot. But they had a dealer here in Atlanta. So when I said I want to carry Maggie, they're like, well, we would, but we've already got a dealer there, so we can't. And he's been with us for however. And then I went to that dealer's place to see if he's even displaying them and how well he's repping the brand. And he didn't even have them out, man. He had them like in some back room. They weren't even hooked up. I'm like, dude, this guy isn't representing you for shit. You got to get rid of him, but they were just too tied in. And back then it was like they were just, back when Wendell was working with them, it was just weird. The Maggie's and the guys in back are the cool dudes, man. They're the cool dudes. The guys that run the production, but the management and everybody up front was just weird. They've always been weird. I don't know how they are now, but they've always been a little strange up there. It's that Minnesota cold, man. But the guys in back, dude, they're cooking with fire. Definitely got to make it to Santa Barbara. I will, brother. I'm getting some damn fish tacos. I remember right on the pier there's a freaking fish taco joint. I stay at that, what is it, the JW Marriott? There's a kick-ass hotel right there in Santa Barbara, right down in town, dude. Right on a curve. I can remember the street's like an arched street, a curved street right on the water. Killer hotel. Like a patio with lunch. We had lunch out there. My brother and I rode in on our Harleys. We had lunch there. And then when I went back with my woman a different time, we stopped in Santa Barbara and had some wicked fish tacos, dude. Like fish tacos that I still talk about. They were so freaking amazing. Right on the pier. There's like a pier there, some sort of pier. I'm interested in 570s with that side firing woofer. Is it forgiving for a harsh room? What's the new Model M offer? Demo pair for sale. The M model has forward firing woofers. So for the most part, in most rooms, a front firing woofer is going to be better because it's not going to interact with any walls nearby. Now, if you are in an open room where you don't have walls nearby, and you've got like a big open space, the side firing woofers are great for that because they fill the room with bass. But if you've got a side wall, it's easier to control for front firing woofers. So, if the room is harsh, I mean, let's put it this way. So the speakers themselves are not like soft sounding, right? So they're not going to honeycoat anything. However, they are definitely not harsh speakers. They're very natural and organic. What will depict your harshness level is going to be most likely your DAC. And then, but you would have to call me and ask me and tell me about your room. And are you in America, by the way? And if you're in the United States, call me up and I can consult with you and I can help you to make the right decision. If you're overseas, then just call your local dealer and he should be able to do that as well. But I'm guessing if you're asking for a demo pair, you're probably in the USA. I don't have a demo pair. These things I've never gotten one back to trade. But I am doing 10% off this month, and on that speaker, that's a pretty solid number. I mean, I think that's like, let's see, 570s or like, so it's like, I don't know, $4,000 or something off, $5,000, something like that. And I'll throw in free shipping for anybody. So everybody's getting 10% off and free shipping. Shipping on those things is about $700. So, holler and we can talk about it, man. I want to make sure that we're getting you the right speakers, and I want to make sure that we got the right amps, and I need to know more about your rig and how you listen, and just call me tomorrow. If you go to 11stereo11stereo.com, you'll find my phone number, and you can just call me there, and I'm happy to talk with you. But don't send an email, because I read emails maybe once a week. I don't sit at my desk and read emails every day like normal human beings do. I got sitting at my desk during COVID got me sick, and so I've got an aversion towards the desk ever since then. But yeah, just call me, and I'm happy to work with you. I take a bow now with no disrespect to Mikey. No disrespect for what, man? What did you say? I don't know. No, I don't know. No disrespect taken, brother. I didn't have a good situation with Magnapan. Oh yeah, I mean, they're very tricky. Oh, did you have yours broke and then you had to send them in, and there was like, and you didn't get treated well, which is weird, if I remember. Yeah, sometimes it can get weird. But typically the guys in the back are cool, man. So yeah, so I don't know. And they are a little tricky to deal with. You got to get them right. The Fishers are much more forgiving. You can plop Fishers in a room and they'll work. Yes, you are in the United States. Okay, cool. Just give me a holler, Michael. I'm happy to talk with you, man. Even if you just want to consult, like, I'm not going to expect you to buy anything. Don't worry about that. Okay, an hour and 41 minutes. Oh my God, I've got a skedaddle. Oh, can I show you guys my new gun? It's not in here. Anybody want to talk firearms? I got some new shit. I've been going to the toy store lately. All right, everybody. Let's see. I got one last question. Pacificatia. What power cable do you recommend to put on an audio research tube preamplifier? Oh man, that I can't answer that unless I knew more about your system. If you want to ask, there's many. If you want to, how much do you want to spend? What are you looking for it to do? What is your system doing right now that you would like to have it do? Because different power cords are going to do different things to your audio system. So I would need to know what you want as in terms of a result, and then I can tell you what cable I would recommend. And I also need to know what the budget is. But typically, it's going to be what result do you want? And then how much of that result do you want? Do you want a slight bit of that result, or do you want a lot of that result? So just call me tomorrow if you'd like, and I'm happy to consult, and it's free. Oh, aloha, Mikey, tuning in from the Big Island. Right on, man. You just made me think. I just said tune, and then I thought of tuna. I thought of island and tuna, and wahoo. I got food on the mind, bro. I'm like, tuna, ahi, tuna, Hawaii, seafood. Yum. Not the spam musubi, dude. I'm not down for that, but seafood, yes. Do I do in-person setup? If I can ask, what is that spend threshold for you to show up? 100,000. If you spend 100,000 with me, I come and make sure that shit is set up right. If you are somewhere where I'm going to be, right, and you're a customer of mine, like you bought a DAC or you bought something, I'm happy to come by and not charge you. Like if, let's say, like I'm going to, like I told you about the trip, I'm going to do Seattle down to San Diego. So I'm going to be the West Coast all the way coming down. I know I have to stop in certain areas. If you're like a little bit off the, you're not far off the beaten path, you're somewhere like that, I'll just come by, man. You don't have to worry about it. If you're a customer of mine, if you're not a customer of mine and you want me to come by to your place, if I think I can make some content there and it might be worthwhile, then I won't charge, and I'll come by and make some content. If it's totally there's no content to be made, it's like you don't want to demo anything. It's just you want me to hear your system. You're not. It's not going to turn into any potential sale. Then I might charge a little bit for my time, but it wouldn't be more than And then if you wanted me to set up your rig, it wouldn't be more than $500 for me to go out of my way, come there, tune your rig, and then just leave, and not with no potential of making a sale, with no potential of making content, anything like that. There's nothing in it for me, right? Other than meeting a friend, of course, which is good. But I'm on a schedule on these trips. I only have a certain amount of time that I can be gone for. But typically that's how I work. If you're a customer, no problem. I'm coming to see you regardless, man. But if you're asking, like, at what point do I come out and set up, it's 100,000. Then I would never let somebody spend 100,000 with me and not make sure that they were getting their money's worth and that they were thrilled. Like, at that point, I'm making sure I'm coming out there to make sure that you're thrilled. I don't think it's good form to let someone spend 100,000 and not be there to make sure that goes absolutely more than you ever hoped for. So that's that. Now, if you're asking, like, would I make a special trip, like, to a state that I'm not going to be in, to come there and, like, do setup on stuff that I haven't sold, I don't do that. So you can't have me come in. Let's say you bought a system from another dealer, right? Or you just have your stuff that you've had forever, or you inherited it, or whatever, and you just want to fly Mikey out to set up your rig. I mean, I suppose there's a number that would work for me, but it's not that for me to take all my time. You'd have to pay for a flight, hotel, food, and then a couple $1,000. I'd say $1,000 per day, something like that. So I don't really want to do that either, because, I can't guarantee what is going to happen when I set it up, because it's not product that I know, and it's not product that I work with. When I come out for stuff that I've sold you, I can guarantee you a result. If I come out and you buy Fisher & Fisher, Jeff Rowland, and Playback Designs, I can guarantee you a result 100%. But if you've got me coming out because you inherited Wilson and Audio Research and MSB or something like that, I can't guarantee you any result. It might sound like ass, I don't carry certain brands for a reason, and I don't have experience with certain brands. But the ones that I sell, I can. If you're buying my gear, it's $100,000. Where there's no charge. If it's 75, and you say, look, Mikey, come out and you can stay at my place or whatever. I got a hotel nearby and whatever. Everything's negotiable, brother. I don't stick it to people. I'm easygoing. I'm not like shrewd businessman, like everything. Like, I got my little tablet out and I'm gonna bill you for every freaking thing, but I'm sure you sort of get my vibe. But yeah, I'll take care of you. I'll make sure, especially if you're somewhere where I'm going to be, I'll come by for free. Doesn't matter. Okay. So I'm going to run. Give me a call, Michael. I mean, have we talked on the phone? I don't know if we've even talked. I remember seeing you here on the live stream a couple of times. Why don't you give me a call if you haven't, and tomorrow or this week if you can, and just introduce yourself to me. And we'll talk, and then just build a little rapport, and then we can take it from there if you decide you want to do something or not. All right, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I will see you guys next Wednesday for sure. I'll have some material between now and then, so look for a couple videos. I'm going to put up some of the systems that I've been to people's house, so you can see some of your peers' systems. So thanks, everybody, for joining, and I will see you next week. See ya.